Welcome to Her Next Chapter, the show that helps women prepare for, work through, and thrive in life's transitions. I'm your host, Karen Maurer. As a wealth advisor, I've seen how the hardest chapters in life are not only emotional, never only practical, and never only financial. They touch every part of who we are. And through these conversations, like we're having today with Judy, we're going to explore what it really takes to move through life altering changes with courage, clarity, and support. I am honored to introduce to all of my listeners my friend Judy Henderson, author of When the Light Finds Us, From a Life Sentence to a Life Transformed. Judy's story is extraordinary. Her early years were marked by abuse and violence, and later she was wrongfully convicted of a crime she did not commit and sentenced to life in prison, where she would spend more than 3 decades. Judy's story is not only about injustice, it's also about motherhood, survival, faith, advocacy, and discovering purpose in darkest places. Today, in part one of our conversation, we're going to go back to the beginning. We're going to talk about the woman that Judy was before prison, before the pain she had already lived through, and the moment that changed everything. Judy, I am so grateful you are here to share your story.
Well, thank you, Karen. I am so honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, let's jump right in and talk about before prison, before the book, and before you became a public figure. Tell us a little bit just about who Judy was and what your life looked like as you were growing up.
Well, to begin with, I am the oldest of 8 children. So that right there should tell you I had a big load.
That's right. That right there puts you in a whole different category.
It does. It does. And my parents were young when they married. My father was in World War II. He came back and they got married and had me. And then they had two boys, and then they waited 5 years to have 5 more.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. So I had some little ones to help my mother take care of also.
Okay.
But I didn't realize that as I became older, say grade school, junior high, I started seeing signs of abuse. And of course, back then, that's something that was not talked about at all.
Right.
That was something that was, it was kept inside the home.
Mhm.
You didn't go to schools. You didn't talk to people about that. You didn't mention it in church. And my father, he was gone a lot, working in the wheat harvest in different states.
Okay.
And my mother would stay home and take care of the children and me. And she taught me how to be everything that I wanted to be. She was she was so sweet, so kind. I don't ever remember her even putting her hand on me.
Oh, goodness. Wow.
Yeah, she was 19 whenever she had me.
Wow.
And we kind of grew up together, actually.
Yeah. So you were kind of a best friend to her.
Yeah, I
And
was.
she to you, I imagine.
Yes, and of
And
course
she taught you a lot about cleaning, right?
Oh, yes. She was very meticulous whenever it came to the house. You could not wear shoes in the house. Even the minister had to take his shoes off at the door
Oh,
before
wow.
he could.
Well, she took a lot of pride in your home and taught you to do the same, it sounds like.
She did. She very much did. My house is the same way. I tell anybody that comes in, maintenance guys or whoever, do you have shoe covers for your shoes?
Oh, love it. And I bet you hear her in the back of your mind, right?
I
The
do.
dust first, then vacuum. And
Yes. That's what she taught me. Here's the process in cleaning. You do not dust last. You dust first and then vacuum it up.
oh, love it.
Yeah, and our beds had to be immaculate. You could bounce a quarter off of them, kind of like the military, I guess, from what
Yeah,
I
I
understand.
grew up in a household like that.
Ah,
Bounced the quarter off the bed. That's for sure.
yes, and she could tell if she saw if you were sitting on it because she could see cheek prints.
Oh.
So we were busted if we did.
Oh, how funny. I love it.
Yeah.
So
But
you had some good times, and then it sounds like there were some not so good times.
yes.
The abuse was that your parents didn't get along so well, right?
No. And my dad never talked about, his childhood. But I know his dad, my grandfather, was very stern and not very loving. So I would assume that he probably had a very hard childhood himself.
Sure.
And that kind of groomed him for the man he became.
Okay.
And he was violent. He drank for a while, and he would abuse my mom. He would try to abuse my siblings, but I would try to take the brunt of that, and so trying to keep them safe.
So you're the protector.
Yes, yeah. And but what was always so hurtful is I couldn't understand why he did that. I felt like he hated me, or what did I do wrong? What did I, what is it that he didn't like about me? And I would always write notes after he would beat me. And one time he beat me so bad that blood was coming from my ears. And I wrote him a note, and I remember putting it on his pillow and apologizing for whatever it was I did wrong to make him do that.
Yeah.
And so my learned behavior of being a caretaker, enduring the abuse, came at a very early age.
Sure. And did you recognize any of that at that age, or is that something that you just put together at some point later in life?
Later in life, I didn't even really know that I was a battered woman from 12 years of my marriage until I went to prison. And that was sad. I thought, well, I'm not a battered woman. What is a battered woman? Because they didn't use that terminology back then.
Right.
My mother put up with it. She had a miscarriage when my father knocked her down the stairs. And I found her in a pool of blood when I came home from school. I just thought that was a normal way of life. I didn't know any other kind of life.
Sure. And you didn't go to friends' houses and spend time with other families to see that other families look different. Right.
We ended up becoming Pentecostal, which is a very strict religion.
Okay.
Yeah. You couldn't show your elbows. You had to cover your elbows, with long sleeves. Your dresses had to be below your knees. Your hair could not, it had to be over the tips of your ears. We couldn't wear makeup. We didn't have TVs. So it was very strict. So I felt like we were very isolated, and my high school years was kind of like that. I felt like an outcast. I didn't fit in.
Do you think that was his way of just having control of the family and keeping you in a bubble so that you didn't realize that there were other options?
Yes, I believe that. I do believe that. And then come to find out, the assistant pastor that was the youth minister of our church, he ended up sexually molesting me.
Oh.
And I was devastated. It was my senior year of high school, and I was to graduate 2 months later, and or maybe it was a month. It might have been a month. And I couldn't do it. I was not able to graduate, even though I had my class ring that my grandmother had bought me. I couldn't graduate. So I did not have a diploma. I did not have a GED until I went to prison.
Well, and you when you say you couldn't graduate, it was because of the trauma that this abuse caused you, right?
Yes.
And I imagine, when your father brings this church into your household, and you believe in this religion and you believe in your family, and then have it betrayed by the assistant pastor.
Yes.
That's turned your entire world upside down, to say the least, right?
Yes, it absolutely did. I was sent to my aunt's house, who was married with a child, and into it was a smaller town. About 30 minutes from where we lived.
Okay.
And so I stayed there with her, and I ended up, you only had to have an 8th grade education to become a hairdresser back then.
Okay.
And so she had a beauty school, and so I went to beauty school.
So did that give you hope of, hey, life doesn't have to be like it was, and that this is an opportunity to have things look different for you? Have you built a different life?
Yes, it did. It did. And then I ended up coming back to my family's home. And during my senior year, though, I do want to say that I did have a friend that I would watch all the time whenever I was in school, because she was popular. She was nice, and it
Yeah.
seemed she had it all together. And I thought, gosh, I wish I could know her. And so we did end up being friends. They invited me out to the parking lot where
Uh-huh.
they went out to smoke.
Ah, then you felt like a normal kid fitting in with everybody, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
That made me feel like, oh, maybe I do belong. Maybe I'm not so strange or so
Yeah.
weird looking. And um, and then we skipped school one day, and I thought, oh boy, that's exciting. And
Higher
so it was
level.
just little mischievous things, like
Right.
that we did. And I got my ears pierced, and it was like, oh, I'm going to be in so much trouble. So, but I still have those holes today.
Oh, look at that. You know what? Just a little bit of rebellion.
Yeah, just a
I
little
think we
bit.
all do that, and that's normal, right?
Yes, yes. So nothing devastating, nothing,
Mhm.
harmful. Um,
And you had a good opportunity to feel normal. And then
yes,
from there, you went to beauty school, right?
yes.
And then after that, we met Charlie.
Yes, we met
Okay.
Charlie. I was 18, and it was the first time I'd ever dated. I'd never went out on a date, and I
Right.
couldn't
Because they're
date. I
kind of
didn't have
rough.
my, yeah, I didn't have a driver's license. I didn't have any of that.
Hmm.
And he came over, and we started dating, and then I got pregnant.
Okay.
And that was whenever we got married. So Angel was born 7 months later.
Uh-huh.
And she was a godsend. I did not know
Yeah.
how she was going to be my rock years
Absolutely.
later. Hmm.
Yeah. And that love and that unconditional love for those children,
Yeah.
that's what keeps us going, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That sustained me during my incarceration and gave me a fight
Yeah.
to come back to them. And her father wasn't there the night she was born. My mother was. She went to the apartment to get some clothes for us and, Angel and myself. And he was passed out with two other women, one on each side of him. And there was alcohol bottles and beer cans and everything all around. And she let him know that she was not bringing me back to this apartment. She
Look
was
at that.
taking me with her.
Mama Bear stepped in.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Yes, she
Because
did.
she protected you as much as you protected Angel, right?
Yeah. Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And so then we stayed married for 12 years. That it
And
was
that was a bit violent, right?
yes, it was an explosive relationship that. But then again, my mother went through it. She was still with my dad. I felt like, well, this is just how relationships are. This is just how marriages are. This is common.
Sure.
And
I see
I
why
didn't know.
someone would think that.
Yeah, I didn't know that it wasn't normal.
Right.
Yeah, and even back then when we got married, it still wasn't talked about. It wasn't discussed. It wasn't defined as um, battered women. It wasn't even defined as abuse from the police department, the judicial system.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
you wouldn't even think to put a label on it. You didn't know it
right,
was, that it was a thing, unfortunately.
right, right. And if
Sure.
I know the last time that he beat me is whenever I made the decision to divorce him. Whenever I came home, and I guess he had been drinking, and he knocked me out our glass front door.
Oh,
And it was at night, and I had went to a ball game, Royals game actually, with one of my friends.
huh?
And it was raining, and then they'd put the tarp on, so they'd delay the game. And
Out later than normal.
yeah, yeah. And so I got home later than what he thought I should be home, and he was irate, and then he got violent, and my daughter went running down the street screaming, and the
Oh,
police were called. We don't know. I don't know. Whenever they did come, they just told him that he needed to leave for a while and sober up and come right back. They didn't arrest them then. They didn't. They didn't
right.
make recordings, no reports. On domestic violence.
Oh, wow. So
It
nothing
wasn't.
to even go back on to say, hey,
No.
this has happened more than once.
Mm-mm. No.
They don't take the children or
Yeah.
anything to protect the children.
Yeah. And so whenever he did that, I saw that this was just going to keep escalating, and I didn't want his abuse to be turned on my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a little boy 3 by then. And of course, he was too young to even know anything. And
Right. But your daughter was seeing this and influenced
yes,
by
he
it.
was 9. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And it's so ironic, Karen, because whenever I wrote the book, Angel told me, she said, Mom, I'm not going to read the book. I don't want to be a part of this because I view things different than what you do. And so before the book launched in April of 2025, she called me the week before we were to fly to New York for the big launch
Mm-hmm.
and said, you know what, Mom, I've had a change of heart and I do want to read the book.
Oh, gosh.
Because, yeah, she's a Christian and she was speaking with a counselor about it. And he said, what are you going to say whenever people ask you about your mother's book?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to hear something from somebody else. You want to hear it from your mom and hear your perspective.
Yes.
Well, that was very courageous of her. That took her a long time to pray over that decision.
It did.
And what did she think after she read it?
Now she and I speak together because people want to hear, well, what was it like for the child of incarcerated parent?
Right.
How did those children navigate? Because she became, and she is now presently the CEO of a Mother's Refuge, an agency for mothers, pregnant moms, and babies.
Oh.
And she graduated from UMKC up here in Kansas City. And so she became very successful, even though her mother was incarcerated and away from her all those years.
Look at that. Wow. Well,
yes.
That's a tribute to her and you, of course.
Yes.
And we'll get into a little bit of your parenting from behind prison.
Yes. Yes.
So go ahead.
When she told me that she wanted to read it, she said she had already made up in her mind that she was going to have a pen and paper there and she was going to write down everything that I said wrong, everything that did not happen.
Okay.
And she started reading it. She read it and she read it through the night until like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Same.
Yes. And she was crying and weeping and it
same
laugh. Yes. And didn't take one note. She said, Mom, I was looking at things through a 9-year-old's eyes and I did not see things the way you saw them until now that I'm an adult. And so she said, what you wrote and how brave and courageous you were to face all that you had to go through. She said, it makes me just love you that much more. It makes my bond so much stronger. I know. She had no idea that it would have that effect on her.
Well, and I think important too for you to see the perspective that she had as a 9-year-old. I mean, as a parent, we try to see that side of things, but you don't know, and you don't know how it gets interpreted. And that way you can help her resolve some of the things that she was seeing and give her the full perspective of what was going on.
Well, and weeks before she decided to read it, we were at a restaurant, her and me and my granddaughter that was in her late 20s.
Because she's a mama and Angel's a mama.
Yeah.
Now.
And we started talking about it. She said, Mom, that did not happen like that. You are so wrong. And we kind of had a little bit of words going back and forth. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to let this go. So I thought she's not going to read the book. She doesn't want to know the truth. But so I was shocked when she read it and she had that perspective afterwards. Thank God.
And it's a very well written book that you can see it from. It's very raw and honest, and you can see the whole perspective. It's not just you either pointing out all the negativity or all the positive side of it. You're pointing out all sides of all the things that happened. Yes. And I think that helps somebody say, oh, this is really how it must have happened.
Yes. So I want mothers, whenever they've been abused and they get out of that situation, or if they're still in it, to remember that their children are seeing the pain and the agony, but their perception of how it started and who started it and all this and that is going to be different than whenever they finally grow up and become adults and have to face the fact, this is the truth. My mother is telling the truth. And so not to be hurtful, from what their children say, but just realize that they're looking at through different aged eyes than what you are.
That's great advice. Great advice and great perspective. And once things split with Charlie, you say one of the quotes from your book is, I was trapped in a life I didn't want, but couldn't seem to escape. So you did escape for a period of time.
I did.
And then you've got this great quote I love is, your small world held nothing but goodness.
Yes.
It brings me back. It makes the reader go back and think, like, what are those moments for me? Even if it's just being cuddled up with your fur baby, or, just a positive conversation that you have. We always hold on to those special moments that are, filled with goodness, because we don't know what the next moment's going to look like.
You're right.
What the next moment looked like for you when you then met Greg.
Oh, wow. Let me give you a timeline as to how that occurred. What a short span it was to end up where I ended up being for 36 years. So I divorced my ex-husband in June. He still wouldn't leave me alone. So I attempted suicide and was in the psychiatric ward for 30 days, September through October. My psychiatrist said I needed to leave that town. I need to get away from there. And so
Which was everything that you knew at that point too, right?
Yeah. And my daughter grew up there. I hated to pull her from the school and her friends that she had been around since she was 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And but I did, my parents came up and they helped me pack. And it was my stepfather by then, because my mother had divorced my father. She saw the light.
Yeah.
Yes.
It takes a while, but you do.
It does. She did. And I thought, you know what? She did it. I can do it.
Right.
So I felt like I was kind of following in my mom's footsteps.
Now that just came together for me, because then this is relevant not only for you, but for her.
It was. Yes.
As well.
Yes.
I love that.
You are correct. And I wish she would have been alive to see this. I know she's in heaven, and
She
knows, and is looking down on me and is so thrilled that I'm here and doing good work. And because she was always a good Christian woman and doing the same thing, helping others, even though she couldn't help herself.
Right.
But I ended up in the psychiatric ward. I ended up moving down to where my family was, and I stayed with them a short period, me and the children, until I bought my business, and we got our own home. And that was
the salon business.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, because then, tanning salons were just starting to, hit the market.
Wow.
And so it was a new adventure.
Yeah.
And I was good at what I did. I'm very good at business, but I'm lousy at relationships.
No,
and I thought, what is wrong?
Just certain kinds of relationships, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so I ended up, I went out. I was at dinner with a friend of mine, and he had other friends with us. And whenever my co-defendant came up to the table, he introduced us, and he started coming around to my tanning salon. Well, we ended up going to Kansas City together, and he was a real estate broker, and he had a convention to go to. And Karen, believe it or not, I was stupid.
No.
And
you made the right decision at the time. You thought it was the right decision.
Yes, you're correct. And I ended up riding with him because he suggested, well, we're both going to the same place. Why don't we just ride together? And so we did. I was going to try to reconcile with my ex-husband. And he did not want to do it. And so I was devastated again. It was just a thing about, I felt so guilty because my son was growing up without a father.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I don't want that to happen to him. I don't want him not to have a father that's around.
Yeah.
And so I think that was mainly the reason I was doing it.
Did he not want to reconcile, or did something happen and you realized, oh, wait a minute?
I think it was both. I think, this wasn't a good idea, but still on the way home, I was so down and depressed because it was like, my life just seemed like it was in a shambles, whenever it came to the relationship part of my life. And my co-defendant was very, very nice, very kind, very sweet. And he wanted me to talk about it. He wanted to be the one to help me walk through this journey.
Okay.
And I thought, whoa, wait a minute. I've never had any male want to do that.
Yeah.
Most males have always wanted to use me or abuse me in some way. But I've never had one to be kind and gentle. And
you want to latch onto that.
Yeah. And seem protective of me.
Yeah.
And so
that feels good.
Yeah, it did. And then I found out he had 2 little boys. My son was in the age between the 2 of his.
Okay.
And then there was Angel. So I thought the perfect little family.
Yeah.
And
you think, oh, this is a blessing. This is all coming together for me.
Yes, and he had been in the ministry, so I thought, wow, he's spiritual. He knows God, and then I met him in April. Then in June, I came home from picking my son up from the nursery on the way from the salon, and I walked in, and there was a suitcase sitting inside my foyer.
Huh. Okay.
And out loud, I said, whose suitcase is this? Questioning myself, like, who is this?
What's going on?
Yeah. He came around the corner and he said, hi. He said, I just thought it'd be a good idea if I moved in with you. And I said, what? And without discussing it or anything. And he said, yes. He said, I feel like, I should be here and help you I want to take care of you and the children.
Wow.
And us be just a happy family.
Sure.
And I thought about it and I said, well, I guess there's, nothing wrong with that. Back then though, we still didn't have guys living in the, living
that was a big
with us.
Yeah, big stuff.
Yeah, that was, in the late 70s, early 80s. And so I thought, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to live in sin,
Yeah.
And so it seemed to work out good. We all got along. It was a great life.
Yeah.
But it was very short-lived because then in July 14th, the murder happened, and it was the day before my daughter's 13th birthday.
Okay.
And the murder happened.
Okay.
And that's whenever I saw there was another side of him. I had seen people come around and him having conversations with people that I did not know, that he didn't really introduce me to. They were not anybody we socialized with or anything.
So that little red flags along the way.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to let people get your book and read about the details of the murder and how everything evolved and how you were both then eventually arrested. But
Yes.
you say when you look back that there were warning signs and red flags. Do you use that as kind of teaching moments, or, are you constantly saying, what if I hadn't missed those things, or have you moved past that and kind of said what I said before, you made the decisions that you thought were right at the time, and all you do is control how you react to it at this point going forward.
Right. And I did. I moved forward, but then I always look back and I remember those red flags. Hindsight, I could see where I should have noticed. Well, he had been in ministry, but he wasn't practicing now.
Okay.
And he was talking with strange people. One was that owned a bonding company, but he didn't introduce me to those people. They weren't a part of our circle.
Yeah.
And he didn't really tell me any kind of relationship he had with them other than they were in the gold mine business in Alaska. That's all I really knew.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I thought, okay, well, that's smart. That's a good investment. He's suave and savvy with his investments. And so I didn't look at them as bad things because I didn't look at them from a different perspective.
Sure. You don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah. After I saw actually the kind of person he is, that he had this dark side to him that I wasn't aware of. And then I was able to say, oh, yeah,
Right.
I'm mad at myself because I didn't pay attention.
But really a sign or a lesson of listening to your gut and trusting that, hey, these things aren't adding up. Maybe they're worth questioning a little bit farther and digging back into it.
Yes.
So after you're accused and the sentence comes down that you have a life sentence and he walked out the door and went home. What's that emotion? Is it just stun, disbelief?
Yeah, I think I was in shock for a while. I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know what to believe. I don't think it really sunk in that my life, my children, my family, everybody was just taken from me. That I was going to a world that was very foreign, that I had never been around any of these foreigners before in my upbringing. I didn't know people even lived that kind of life because I was pretty sheltered.
Sure. You were in that bubble.
Yeah. So whenever I was handcuffed and shackled and my wrist belly chained to my waist, it was
you didn't even have a TV to have even seen this on TV to know what this could look like.
No. But you know what, Karen? The way I handled all the trauma in my life, it was through bearing it and smiling. My smile, it hid a lot of pain. It really did. Now, today, it's joyful. It's real. I just feel it all over me.
Yeah, you do.
But
and I think people are drawn to it.
Yes. But back then, the reporters didn't know how to explain that smile other than calling me the happy killer.
Wow.
And
it was all over the media as well.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Because the prosecutor, he was running for office to be the chief prosecutor. So he used my case as hard on crime, tough on crime. And that's what they did back in those days.
Right.
But
so then you're a pawn in his political career.
Yes.
Which meant you didn't really have a voice. Like, did you feel that at that time that you're not being heard or seen? Yeah. You're innocent and nobody's hearing that story.
No, and we had the same attorney representing both of us because that way, again, hindsight, the red flags.
Who knows how to handle that?
Yeah, my family had never been involved in the legal system, so this was a whole new journey for us. We didn't know how to navigate this area. But I saw later, of course, after I was convicted and had time to sit and ponder everything, is he had to have the same attorney representing us because he committed the murder. He needed to know what our strategy was going to be so he would know what his moves would have to be.
To pivot off of the other moves.
And the thing that I was not aware of at the time is while we were having our meetings, the three of us, he was also meeting with two other criminal attorneys that he ended up hiring to represent him at his trial and fired this attorney that we had.
I didn't realize that.
Yes.
So that's how that all got manipulated.
Yes.
Because he knew the strategy. He knew your defense.
And he paid a bartender at the Sheraton Inn. I don't even think they have Sheratons any longer, but it was a very nice, exclusive, bar to go to and restaurant. And he paid the bartender to say that I walked in the bar looking for him and I had been shot in the stomach and I had blood all over me. And that Greg had been at the bar the whole time, my co-defendant. And anybody that ever has known me knows I do not, even in prison, I did not go out of my cell without my makeup on and my hair done. That just wasn't me.
Right.
And so for him to say that I would do that, I would walk into a bar looking like that.
Right. Unkempt and bleeding and.
Yeah, really? No.
Wow.
But that gentleman did take the stand and testify to that effect. And my co-defendant was able to address the all female jury, all female. He was able to address them himself.
Wow.
And that's something you never hear of, a client,
A murder trial.
yeah, being able to address a jury themselves without the attorney doing it.
Right. And
But I'm telling you, he was so suave and debonair.
Sure.
I mean, he just had the gift of persuasion, and manipulation. And I was very ripe for it, coming out of a psychiatric ward and not taking the medication I was told to take. And that's no excuse. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to make excuses for what happened. I take full responsibility, Karen, of being where I was. And so I don't want to sit here and say that my past defined my future at that time. But now my past does not. I have a new future. I have a new focus. I have a new life.
Right.
And
I respect that so much. And you really do speak to that in the book quite a bit, of that taking ownership and responsibility for the choices that you made.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you were not the one that pulled the trigger. And, you know, it did impact your life forever, but in an unimaginable way. When you look at losing your freedom, your emotional freedom, your physical freedom, can you tell us a little bit about what those hardest days were like? Tell us about, you know, the urine drop.
Oh my gosh. Like I said, that world was so different that even their language was different. The rules were different. They made no sense to me. I thought, what do you mean I have to pee in a bottle? How do you even do that?
Right.
You know,
women can't do that.
Yeah. I had no idea what they were talking about, but they be sure they wake you up in the middle of the night, anywhere from say 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and take you into a room and make you strip down. And they will give you 2 8-ounce glasses of water, and that's all you can have. And you have to hold that bottle underneath you and pee in it on command with the officer standing there watching you.
Oh my goodness.
And right there, just having somebody watch you, you freeze. You know? Yeah, and you're a nervous wreck because, you know, if you can't do that and within that length of time, then you go to the hole automatically, and they automatically give you a dirty UA. Yeah. Even though you're clean, they give you a dirty UA because they think that you're not urinating because you are dirty.
So they just assume.
Yeah.
Nothing about biology, that your body just shut down. It's just assumed guilty.
Yes, exactly. And you have 2 hours. They give you a time frame of 2 hours to be able to do this.
Wow. So that's stripped of dignity.
Yes.
Stripped of safety.
Yes.
Right. Was there anywhere in prison that you felt safe? No.
Even when you go to the shower, you're not safe because it's just a shower curtain and that's it, you know, between you and whoever's in the unit, whoever's on, you know, on the dorm with you.
Right.
And the state of Missouri, you know, they did away with mental hospitals. So now what they do with the mental patients, they send them to prison. So you have a lot of mixed personalities there. Right. And some are very criminally dangerous. And so you don't ever feel safe there. You don't ever let your guard down. It's a very high stress environment.
Just unpredictable. I think that for me, as I read through your story, you know, the uncertainty and the unpredictability of what's around the corner. So you're on edge and high alert all the time. You can't even rest to sleep.
Right.
And then what that the physical toll that must take on your body is obviously the emotional toll.
Oh, yes. It's enormous. And so
and then throughout all of this, you're separated from your children.
Oh, yeah. And that was devastating. being away from my children and my family, although my family was just solid rock in supporting me and coming to visit me and bringing my daughter all the time. I saw my son when he turned 5 for the last time until he was 16.
And that was because his father kept him away.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And then when he turned 16, he drove up to the prison in his car, thinking he could get in a high security prison without filling out a application, a visiting form, so they could do a background check, make sure he didn't have any guns or criminal history or anything.
Oh, that's scary.
He just said, "I'm here to see my mom."
Yeah.
It's like
his heart.
But he got in.
Yeah.
He got in. The caseworker, when she saw me crying on the floor from them calling and saying that my son was at the gate, she said, "I don't care if he hasn't filled out a form. You let him in here to see his mother."
So a child at that point.
Yeah. And so she did.
You say that there was that moment early on where you realized your quote is, "If I'm going to survive this, I cannot give up internally." But
Yes.
At the same time, you say that hope is a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, whenever you have, and I started doing clemencies to the governor's office in '83 before I started losing all my appeals. So you have hope at every level of your appeal system, which is all the way up to the United States Supreme Court. So you go through I think it's 3 courts in the Missouri state level. Then you go through 3 other courts in the federal level up to the United States Supreme Court. So you have hope at each one of those levels that some judge, some attorney, some, legal student that's working for the judge is going to see, hey, look, there really is a flaw here. Something wrong really happened.
Right.
And
so constantly having that hope.
Yes.
And when it doesn't come through.
Yeah. And in the 8th Federal Circuit, where you have a panel of 3 judges, they even asked the Assistant Attorney General's office, "Do you feel like there was some sandbagging going on in her case?"
Mm.
And so my family was sitting, because they could go in to listen to the hearing.
Okay.
The Assistant Attorney General said, "Well, yes, I do." And so we thought, oh, yes.
Yeah.
They had such hope. And my attorney at the time, Bob Ramsey, that had been with me 34 years, saw me walk out the day I was released. He just felt so hopeful. He thought, this is finally, the 3-judge panel is going to do it. They're going to overturn it. And I still have the cassette, because they recorded them on cassettes then. And having this conversation. And then they say, after they come back with their decision, we have to deny her because we can't make it retroactive.
What?
Because it'll affect too many other cases in the state of Missouri and will cost us too much money.
So that it wasn't about you. It became about everybody else and about them.
So hope was devastating. It's great to have the hope because you think it's really going to happen, and then to be shot down. And every year I ended up applying for clemency to 7 governors.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
And tell us what your mom's advice was, that physical thing that kept you going, that you kept with you no matter where you were.
No matter where I was at, she said that, well, for one, she always told me to leave my Bible open because
that's what I was referring to.
Satan hates the word of God, and you will be safe, because I had, a religion that was practiced in there of witchcraft, and they put a spell on me. So I was devastated, scared and devastated about that. And that's what she told me. And she was right. She was right.
And you kept that with you all the time.
I did, always.
And then you had more of a transformation from with your relationship with God, from the Pentecostal. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, then we had a priest that was there all the time, and some sisters that came in, some nuns that came in to visit with us. And the volunteers are very, very important individuals in our lives. They are just loving. They're not judgmental. They're there to just love on you and give you hope and faith and keep you uplifted. And so I was assigned by the warden, 12 of us, to go to a Residence Encounter Christ 3-day retreat with the that was put on by the Catholic Church.
Okay.
And I was mad at God. I was very angry. I thought, you know what? No loving God would have you go through something like this.
Torture.
Blaming it on him, and he wasn't the fault. I was the fault for the choices I made. He gives us that free will and that choice. So I went with a bad attitude and was not going to receive anything they had to say. And I got there and there was all this good food. I thought, okay, I'm going to receive that.
Right. All right. That's one in the plus column.
Yeah, this is in the plus column over here. And then toward the end of the retreat, I started breaking down a little bit. I could feel myself, breaking down and leaning in. And then whenever they did a washing of the feet service, and they bent down on their knees, and we took our shoes off and they washed our feet, that was the most sacred and loving thing. I could just picture Jesus sitting at my feet and doing this and letting me know how much he loved me. He sent these people to show me that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's whenever I started practicing more and believing more and having more faith. I thought, okay, God has something for me. There is a purpose while I'm here, and I have to find that purpose, because I started believing he did not send me here. I chose this assignment before I was ever born. I think that he gives each of us an assignment on this earth, and we agree to that before we get here, not knowing what all that's going to entail.
Right.
And whenever I realized that, he was showing me what he created me for and my purpose in being there, then I started flourishing and I started delving into look at these other women. It's not about me. It's not all about me. It's about how can I serve these women? How can I help these women? Because they're feeling the same pain I'm feeling of loneliness and heartache and missing their children and wanting to go home. And so I became a certified paralegal so I could help those with clemencies, the lifers, to come home. And they got out before I did.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And what?
Wait a minute. That's not how that's supposed to work.
I know. It's like, okay, I'm happy for them, God. I'm really happy for them. I'm thanking you every step of the way that they're home. But I know there was one lifer that said, when I'm released, I'm going to get my sentence commuted to time served. I'm going to get no parole. I'm going to get a full pardon and totally exonerated. The only one that has gotten that in the state of Missouri is Judy Henderson.
Look at that.
I know. So he saved the best for me.
Amazing.
Whenever I realized he is not a respecter of persons, that what he does for one, he'll do for the other. Mm-hmm. And he will even double your blessings whenever you realize you are put here to be a servant, to raise others up, to help them with a better life. Then he just opens doors that no man can close.
Sure. Well, and I've had a bit of a full circle moment here because I didn't read, or I don't believe it's in the book, the washing of the feet. And I actually have a client who goes into prisons and prays with the incarcerated, and he washes their feet. And when he told me this story several years ago, I just had this moment of, I understood the theme and I understood why it was happening, but I thought, I wonder how that impacts the prisoners and how that makes them feel. And I have to tell you, Judy, never in my lifetime did I think I would talk to someone that had not only had that done for them, but what it meant to them. So I am so grateful just for you sharing that, because for me, it really does tell you how important, that compassion, no matter who it is and no matter what they what choices they've made or what situations they've been put in, to understand just the value of treating someone with dignity and respect and praying with them, how much that gave you back just a little bit of what had been stolen from you.
Yes, it really did. Excuse me.
That's
Yeah, and that's what I tell people whenever I speak. I said, you know, if you want to be a true servant, and help the needy, help the homeless, don't forget the prisoners. God even talks about the prisoners in the Bible, visiting the prisoners. And that is such an important role for them to know that people out here don't look at them as the lowest part of society,
right.
which they try to tell us we are. And we are there for them to break us down and build us up. And I was told that so many times. And I was told so many times that, Judy, I don't know why you keep fighting. You're going to die in prison. You know, you need to quit fighting and just accept it. Quit packing your boxes like you're going to go home every Christmas. I said, nope, I'm not going to do it. I'm going home. And the warden, he wanted me to help him start a lifer's honor wing. He said, because, you know, you're going to be on it. You'll be there. And we've never had one. And I said, the only way I will start it is if I can have a dog as my cellmate instead of a person, because we had kids for parole and I was a trainer. And he said, okay. He said, but you know, you're going to die here. This is going to be your home. So we want to, you know, to make it a good honor dorm. I said, no, I'm not. I'm leaving. I'm going home. And I would never accept that fact.
And did you ever get a dog?
I got a dog. I did get a dog. I got
you go, girl.
Yeah, I got a black lab.
Oh,
yeah, he'd play hide and go seek on the unit, and the women loved him. And yeah, it was a nice distraction for everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was.
So we're going to pause here for our listeners, and we're going to wrap up this episode because in part 2, I want to talk to you about how you did survive prison, how you mothered your children from behind bars, and how you became a source of strength for others. So before we close today, what is one thing you hope the listeners can carry with them from this first part of your story?
I hope the listeners carry with them that whatever desperate situation you're in, you do not have to stay there. You have a choice. Choose the right path to take. Do not allow someone else to dictate what your life is going to be. You love yourself enough to make that decision for you and your children.
Well said. Thank you, Judy. This is Her Next Chapter, the space where we talk honestly about life's hardest transitions and how women are able to find their way through them. I'm Karen Maurer, and I will see you next time for part 2 with Judy Henderson.